What's up, everybody? This is spooky season video number 2 for this year. It is a weird concept I came up with after a couple conversations I had, and it is just basically movies that are secretly Halloween movies. Like, an actual Halloween movie is cut and dry, like Trick or Treat or Halloween. They're centered around the holiday, but those are limited. And so sometimes you have to be a little more loose in your definition. So what I'm kind of doing here is going off of the Die Hard is a Christmas movie set of rules for what a holiday themed movie is. And I am a supporter of Die Hard being a Christmas movie. But yeah, basically, like, the story doesn't revolve around Christmas. Christmas is a very inconsequential part of the movie, but a couple of scenes have like Christmas trees and shit in the background, and there's a couple of references to Christmas type things, so people call it a Christmas movie, and rightfully so. And this is kind of taking that concept and giving you more options for Halloween if you need them. These first 3 are honorable mentions, I'm gonna say, for one reason or another. They don't quite make the cut, in my opinion, but they're worth mentioning. The first one is a personal favorite of mine. That is Children of the Corn. Aside from being a classic, this is one of the most Midwest in the fall feeling movies ever. When it comes to like a horror movie that doesn't involve Halloween, this is the most autumny feeling one. Plus it's a classic and one I always kind of like to put on when fall hits. It could also work for Thanksgiving, really. I mean, but there's a big emphasis on corn, obviously, because the demon in the movie is a corn demon. Spoiler alert. But yeah, corn to me just invokes fall, the harvest, Halloween. They're all intermingled. So yeah, Children of the Corn is the first honorable mention. The second one is a newer movie. It was my favorite movie of that year, which I'm pretty sure was 2020. And it is Anything for Jackson. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it immediately. It's on Shudder, I think, still. Should be. And in this movie, there is one scene where an apparition takes the form of a spooky trick-or-treater. He's like 8 foot tall, but wearing like a ghost, like a sheet ghost costume. It's really simple, holding like a trick-or-treat pail, shaped like a pumpkin, I believe. So yeah, just the one, I mean, he's in there twice, I think. But like 2 seconds in total, he's in the movie. So not a lot going on there, Halloween-wise. But again, it's very like semi-Evil Dead-y. It's kind of like a twist on an exorcism movie. This one's got the one scene to tie it into Halloween, but not enough to make the official list. So it is an honorable mention, just like
Demonic Toys. Playtime has begun.
This is my favorite full moon movie. It was written by David S. Goyer, as you can see. They want you to know that. And in a lot of ways, you could argue that this is actually a bit more of a Christmas movie because, there's a whole thing about the giving birth to a angelic child that takes the form of a toy soldier. There's toys everywhere. But there is one scene. It's a flashback scene to the like origin of the whole plot of the movie. And it takes place on Halloween. And there's a nice short little kind of Halloween-y scene. Not really enough to make the official list, but I kind of just wanted to throw it in there because I like the movie a lot. It's my favorite full moon movies, and I like full moon movies a lot. And it has effects by John Carl Buechler, my favorite effects artist. And it's hilarious, and it's awesome. And if you haven't watched it, you should. All right, now we're on to the official list. And this is 6 movies, 9 in total with those. So I can't call it a top 5 or a top 10. So I'm probably just going to call it something else, like Secret Halloween movies or something. But yeah, these are the official ones. And the first one of these isn't my favorite. And I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't watch it very often at all, especially not Halloween. And there's a reason for that, which I'll get into. But technically, it is a Halloween movie. It is Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. So this is set on Halloween fully, like start to finish. But it's about these kids who are going to a Mountain Man festival, which is where people dress up like hillbilly psychos and like run around the streets yelling and shit. This is an extremely like low budget direct-to-video Wrong Turn. It might be the weakest in the franchise. It's all shot on like a set that's like one street with a couple buildings and a couple alleys and a couple of scenes in the woods. It's been a while and I haven't seen it a lot, to be fair, but I don't remember a single like even jack-o'-lantern, Halloween decoration. I probably shouldn't have even put this on here. So it's extremely low on the like Halloween-y scale, but it's like still a Halloween movie technically. If you can tell I'm not super enthusiastic about this, that's because I don't like super hate this movie, but I do think as much as I love some of the Wrong Turn movies, and I kind of enjoy them all to a degree, this is the weakest one. And like, even though out of this list, it's the most technically like Halloween movie in here, they did a piss poor job if that's what they were trying to do. They could have easily set this like Memorial Day, 4th of July, even just like not a holiday, just a festival, and it would have been the same movie. So yeah, don't hate the movie. Don't necessarily, it's the one I probably least recommend. But yeah, I just threw it on here because it is like the most technically Halloween movie on the list. But at the same time, like realistically, it's the least. Next is Cry Wolf. This is a 2000s, I think it was 2004, 2005 slasher movie, kinda. I actually love this movie a lot. The first time I watched it, I hated it because of the ending. But as I'm getting older, you know, I'm starting to figure out that I love everything from the 90s and 2000s, especially really cheesy slasher movies. It's one of my favorite things, if you haven't noticed. This is one of them. It is drenched in 2000s, like, aesthetic. It's the most 2000s shit ever. And it's even got Jared Padalecki and the other girl from Wrong Turn. That ties it into the last one in a really indirect way. But yeah, the reason this makes the list is that in the, like, middle of the movie, there's a Halloween party. Everybody's in costumes, and that kind of sets up the idea that the killer's running around more openly and being more aggressive for that chunk of the scene. Kind of blend into the crowd a little bit more. But yeah, this is an incredibly tame movie. It's not rated for the sake of like the DVD release, but I'm pretty sure this was probably PG-13. I'd have to double check that. It's fun no matter what. If you're in the mood for 2000s cheesiness, I recommend it. Next is Scare Package, another Shudder original that you should definitely check out if you haven't. Horror comedy anthology with amazing fucking cover art. This cover art, goddamn, look at it. It's beautiful. It makes me think of House with the floating, severed, rotten corpse hand. Good stuff, man. But yeah, it's a horror comedy anthology with great cover art. And the first segment is a Halloween-based segment. Basically, it's about like every horror movie that happens beforehand. There's a guy who goes in and does prep work. It's a very cabin in the woodsy kind of thing. He switches signs so people take a wrong turn. He cuts phone wire, stuff like that. Lays down the groundwork for the killer to have like an advantage or whatever. And he's unsatisfied and wants to be the hero of the movie. And then from there, comedy ensues. My lighting today is horrible, by the way, Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, Scare Package definitely makes the list. There's a couple misses with some of these segments, but the ones that hit really hard. It's a great comedy, and I highly recommend it. And this is the final three. These are the ones I am most enthusiastic about. These are ones that I do watch every year around Halloween. They are Halloween movies to me. One of them, I mean, the first two I can watch anytime really, but they do work very well on a Halloween. Pet Sematary 2 is the first of the top three. This is one of those movies I can pop on anytime and watch. I love this movie. It's got Edward Furlong. It's from the 90s. It's one of those unnecessary 90s sequels. I have whole videos on that. This is one of them. I love this shit. Clancy Brown, chewing scenery, Edward Furlong acting weird, great effects, great kills, and again in the center of the movie, as happens with a lot of these, a very significant scene takes place on Halloween night with all the kids in the neighborhood meeting in the pet cemetery to like tell spooky ghost stories. It's good stuff. The whole movie does have this fall vibe too that helps it along, and this is one of my top recommends. The next one I don't have on a solo release. I just have a DVD 4-pack with it in it, and it is Silver Bullet. This is one of my favorite werewolf movies of all time. It's got Corey Haim. It's got Gary Busey. It's got a great werewolf, and it's got a twist that used to really fuck with me when I was a kid. I think as an adult, it's not as effective or whatever, but when you're like a kid, especially probably from like the Bible Belt like me, the thought that, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, but the fact that the preacher could be the monster the whole time kind of was super cool to me and creepy. I mean, they kind of telegraph it like at the beginning of the movie in hindsight, like as an adult. It having that effect with me as a kid has kind of stuck with me. And this spans across like summer and fall. Like it starts in the summer and then kind of wraps up in the fall. And the finale is on Halloween night. So in this case, you're ending on Halloween, which is the way to do it. Plus werewolves are very inherently Halloween monstery type of monsters. So it works there too. Yeah. Silver Bullet. And now, number one. This is the first of a franchise, and I'll just go ahead and say I include personally the whole franchise in this, but most specifically is VHS. VHS has always been very much a Halloween movie. One of the reasons, and this is more personal reasoning, but it still holds up, I think. This movie came out in October. Every movie except for one has come out in October, to the point now where on Shudder, it's basically becoming their like yearly Halloween event kind of thing. A new VHS movie, which is awesome. But this came out in October, and it came out when video stores were still open. Blockbusters even. And I remember renting this in October from my Blockbuster, and I'm pretty sure every VHS after that came out while the video stores were open, which is the first three in October. But that's not the only reason, because this one, the final segment is called 10/31/98, and it's a Halloween based short segment, and it's, in my opinion, done perfectly, because it's basically these guys who go out dressed up in costumes to party or whatever. They stop at like a spooky house and they go through it, and it's set up kind of like a haunt, where it's point of view, you're going through the corridors and rooms with them as stuff happens in a very haunted house fashion. And it ends on that segment. And like I said before, with Silver Bullet, that's the way to do it. If you want to cement something as a Halloween-y thing, the best thing to do is end it Halloween-y so that you leave with that Halloween vibe. So yeah, the whole franchise for me has always been very Halloween-y. There's another one coming out this year in a couple weeks, actually, I think, as of the time of this recording. And hopefully that keeps going, because it's just cementing itself more and more as like a Halloween special type of deal for me every year. So yeah, that's the final one, VHS. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I'm sure there are like a ton of these things, you know. I can think of a few more. These are just the ones I picked. But who knows, if I do like a little digging, I might come up with another one of these videos at a later date. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Thanks for watching, and until next time.